last-minute questions, perhaps get another phone call if we can squeeze one in, and then sign off officially on a good note. We'll end it on a good note with actually departing, hopefully, before we kicked off here.
Yeah, sounds good. And if we get cut off a third time, then just get cut off a third time.
We'll be back at it another day. So with that being the case, let's let me get to the chat and see if there's any questions, and go from there. So let's get to some questions if there are any. So if anything on your side, Paul, you can go ahead and read the chat. It says truth won't be tolerated. It says, is there really a conspiracy? It says, of course not. These are algorithm errors. Yeah, algorithm errors. It just so happened to be algorithm errors when information that people need to hear that the system don't want you to hear. So yeah, quite coincidental, huh? But with that being the case, any people want to call in? Let's take another phone call. I was enjoying that. Number 567-336-0844, and we'll try to get you on here and answer your questions, or you can share a thought with us. Either one. We appreciate you being patient with us. It's
interesting because, one of the things that President Trump does is in these tweets are very dollar negative and they're very gold and silver bullish. Mm-hmm. So, to see, the pressure applied to gold and silver in the face of all this, it speaks volumes, right? Because we know that he can move markets with his tweets. He can tweet one thing and the stock market shoots up 400 points.
Yeah.
So he tweets something very dollar bearish and gold and silver bullish, and gold and silver just sit there, not doing anything,
Yeah, very true. Very true. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all continues to play out, because as Trump is saying, the mainstream media is the reason why they're trying to stir up the recession conversation, of which I think the recession conversation is long past due, given the fact that it was artificially held down forever. So this thing has to correct. Unfortunately, this, because it's been manipulated so bad, this next correction, it has to match the amount of manipulation put into it. So if we had 10 years of 0% interest rates or damn near, and artificially debt stimulation and everything, imagine the next decade, 2020 and beyond. Do you see it being another possible 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years of complete misery in the financial markets?
Yeah, well, I see it much worse than that.
Okay.
So, because I think that the plan is to bring the misery, because I think that we're at the end of the ropes there.
Yeah.
As far as the economy goes. So I think that there's going to be the coordinated effort to bring it down, because remember, the people who have the money and the power want to stay in the money and the power, so they're not going to let natural people just naturally rise up.
Yeah.
So you got to crush that, and how are they going to crush that? Well, you could crush it with war, but we've been at war blowing up pretty much the whole Middle East for decades now, and we're not going to go to war against China or Russia, and everybody else seems like a lesser threat at this point. So the next best thing to do is just bring on the economic misery and financial ruin. So I do think that that's what's coming. But like I said, it has to do with, has all the wealth been extracted from the people or not? So I think that's what's hard for me to know, because that's why I've been saying that I'm pretty sure it's going to be time for the 2020 election. But like you were saying, if they can still tap into those pension funds and retirement plans, then he might get that second term, because there's still more wealth there.
Yeah. And so just as you were speaking, a tweet popped up, a fresh tweet. And it's once again, he's calling out the Federal Reserve. It says 3 hours ago, rather, on my end, it says see new tweet, but it says, where is the Federal Reserve? So it just popped up on my side, but it says, where is the Federal Reserve, with question marks. So he's been literally calling out the Federal Reserve and Jerome Powell, and he's been calling this guy so many names, saying just how lame and how uninformed he is, and basically he calling this guy stupid. And so I was commenting on, you got the Trump and the Fed / Jerome Powell dispute. In all actuality, it's all in tandem. Like, they're deliberately going back, or not deliberately, but Trump is deliberately bashing the Fed, because I believe he wants this. He wants to be the overseer of what's coming in regards to this restructuring of our debt globally, because people always say, who's the best person to resolve a bankruptcy, other than the person who has a lot of experience doing it. So I think he's deliberately putting pressure on the Fed. He wants to do away with them and bring in something else, but only God knows what.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So taking the whole good guy, like being a good guy.
Yep. Exactly. I see that, but yet it's all in. They're all working together. Like, everyone knows the problems. They know the problems, And so the question is, what will be the solution they give us is what's going to, what I'm wondering how they're going to roll that out. Because as of now, Federal Reserve notes is or dollars is what everybody knows. So if it does go belly up or hyperinflation kicks in or whatever the worst case scenario happens, how do you implement confidence with whatever new that will be distributed in a timely manner? So I don't see that happening. Yeah. So,
But, which explains all the central bank gold buying going around because. You can't, right? You can't. That's the thing about fiat currencies is there's always a reversion to gold and silver. You always go back to gold and silver.
Yeah.
But the thing that gets me about it is all this back and forth, right? It's like, they could do the right thing now if they wanted to, right? So why aren't they doing the right thing now? That's just what I don't get. So that's why I don't think they are doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Just looking at this, right? I'm looking at this one tweet. So it's saying, so Germany is paying zero interest and is actually being paid to borrow money. While the U.S. is far stronger and is paying interest. But just what do the savers think about this? What do the elderly think about this who have literally depleted their capital? Yeah. Right? All of the savings that they've had are gone because they no longer make any kind of interest on those savings.
Yeah.
So this is all part of just going after, every possible base that you can, right? So, the people who have it down and out when the economy, well, you keep telling them there's no inflation and we have the greatest economy ever, and then that turns on President Trump. The elderly, you'd be like, oh, we want 0% interest rate, and they turn on Trump. All the people who want stronger immigration, the wall doesn't get built and immigration rules get relaxed, people turn on Trump. All the people who want to lock her up, right? Remember that was a thing, right? It's no longer a thing, but that was a thing. People forgot about that.
Special investigation or something.
Yeah, people who wanted to lock her up, well, she's not getting locked up, so they're going to turn on them. And then, people who wanted to end the endless wars, right?
Yeah.
Well, what's going on? We're talking about a full naval blockade of Venezuela. We're still cranking up the heat in Syria. We're still cranking up the heat in Yemen. We're cranking up the heat in Iran. So all of these things are just converging right now that are kind of turning. And I think it's by design. I think it's supposed to be that way. And if I'm right about this, it means that there's going to be a nasty, depression and recession coming. So
that's not good news, Paul. Not at all.
And yesterday I was in the doctor's office for this, like, physical for sports. Oh, and that's funny. Our society is becoming so dysfunctional as it is. Like, it is easier to get like $1 million loan to buy a piece of real estate than it is to play sports on a high school sports team. You can probably attest to this, but there are so many hoops you have to go through now. But I was in the doctor's office, and I can't stand going to my kids' like doctor's appointments or dental appointments or orthodontist or anything because they always have the news going. And I don't know if you ever get that feeling where, like, you're throwing up in your mouth and you, like, try and keep swallowing it down. But it's a horrible feeling. But it's, like, nonstop because it's the only thing I can hear is this television.
Yeah.
They're still talking about all this crazy stuff. And how do these people say it with a straight face? And then the other thing is, how do the people sit in the doctor's office listening to this stuff without throwing up? I mean, they're saying, we need to stand up the sixth branch of the military, the United States Space Force, because we're going to protect Americans from threats from outer space, and we're going to guarantee their safety. And I'm thinking, my goodness, the economy is in terrible, terrible, terrible shape because they've got to figure out how to spend trillions and trillions of dollars to pump this economy back up.
Yeah.
Because it's falling apart, and there's just they have to stimulate, and the rate cuts aren't cutting it. Stopping QE is not cutting it. I mean, we're about to go into the full blown money printing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I say that the hyperinflation is already there, right? We know that with that chart with the 97% loss in value.
Yeah.
Other people say, well, there's got to be a deflation first. Well, we've had the deflation first, right? Yeah. If you take it at face value, we've been talking about there's been no inflation for the last decade. So we've already had that. So the next phase is going to be the money printing. And it's going to come hard and heavy. Talking about a sixth branch of the military to fight space aliens in outer space, that's going to cost a lot of money. Talking about, going back to the moon, if you think that we ever went there in the first place, that's going to cost a lot of money. Cash for Clunkers 2.0, that's going to cost a lot of money. All these things are going to be costing money that are telling me to think that, and that's the other thing, right? It's just government getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger to where the government is the economy. And that's the problem, right? Because the government doesn't produce anything. All they do is extract, right? They produce things, right? They produce death and destruction by bombing So we do produce that.
Yeah.
And then we produce good propaganda. So there's that going for it with Hollywood. But other than that, I mean, this is what I see.
Yeah. I agree 100%, man. Let's get to some questions in the chat. And as always, I wouldn't mind hearing somebody's voice if you want to call in, 567-336-0844. Give us a call and we'll try to get you on here. So we're going to get ready to dial back shortly, but just wanted to, connect on this part 3 due to the internet having stopped for whatever reasons. But Paul, thumb through the chat and see if you see anything worthy of mentioning, or if there's any questions, make sure you do at Silver Doctor so it'll stand out and we can definitely acknowledge it.
Yeah, and sorry for going off on such a rant tangents. I guess it's getting cut off twice already today.
Oh,
That's got me just turn my outlook to sour. But switching gears, okay, do you have that one page that I sent you about that top secret deal?
Oh, yes. Let me, one second, let me pop it up here. Let me pop it up here on the chat, yeah. And then you can speak on it. Let's wait till it loads up, and then I'll go to it. All right, it's coming up. All right, so it's coming up on the screen now. Go ahead and share some information about it.
Oh, no, well, the guys over at SD Bullion just tipped me off. This is not an advertised deal. It is buy 24, right? The Royal Arms from the Royal Mint, right? So these are, Great Britain coins, silver coins. Buy 24 and you get the 25th one free. So it's a good deal. I think I did the math and it works out to, I know it's under $19. It's like $18.48. But it's really cool. So you're getting a sealed tube, right? And this is 25, so it's not like the American. If anybody is going to add to their stack, there's limited quantity. So I just wanted to throw that out there, Mike.
Yes, sir. So I'll put I'll take this and put the chat I'll put it in the chat. So people can, if you're interested, you can check it out more for yourself. Good deal. All right, so let's get to a couple thoughts in the chat. And so somebody mentioned about wanting to call in. So feel free to give me a call. I haven't noticed any missed calls. Or I did have some missed call, but give me a call back. I think that was somebody else. And we go from there.
And so 2 tweets this morning I'm looking at, no inflation, right? So a month ago it was very little inflation, but now it's no inflation at all. So I don't know. I just find that, I see inflation all around me. We talked about that one day trip I took to the amusement park and it cost $1,000.
Yeah. And I was thinking that's also because they go according to the PCE, and over the last how many ever years they've been removing things from the basket to basically give them those numbers that they have. So if they really want to find out, what the rate of inflation is, why don't they go back to the Volcker rule, back when Volcker was Fed chair, and then using that basket, you'll be able to get a better understanding of what is really going on. But it's good to say they probably removed a couple things just recently, which was the reason why they can't get the 2%. But yeah.
I think prices are going up tenfold or 10 times. And when I say that, I mean, I think that you buy a big bottle of ranch salad dressing right now, it's $3.50. I think that it's going to cost $35. You buy a pair of tennis shoes, they cost $150. I think they're going to cost $1,500. You buy a plane ticket and it costs $1,000. I think it's going to cost $10,000. I think this is what's coming.
Yeah.
I think this is the end game. And I saw a little tiny taste of that in Costco over the weekend, right? So, so I pay the store, right? Well, I don't like paying anything, but, since wife wants to shop Band-Aid, for a box of Band-Aids, and they had like less than 200 Band-Aids in it.
Yeah.
And, sure, you can go to the Dollar Tree and you can buy a $1 pack of Band-Aids. I don't know, they might have 10 or something in there, but my point is that, when the prices are moving up in platinum, then you got a 2-ounce tube, now you go in there and you get a 1-ounce tube, right? So, there's just examples all around of, not just prices going up, quantity going down, quality going down, cutting corners.
Yeah.
So we talk about all these things, and it's just a multifaceted approach. And it's no wonder that people don't have any money anymore.
Yeah.